Okay. Um, all right. Let me get set up here. I'm doing this personality test. I backtracked all the way back to the beginning. Um, this question. You regularly make new friends. Uh, no, I don't regularly do that at all. That's sporadic. If I make a new friend, I make a new friend. If not, then I don't. I take that as it happens. Complex and novel ideas excite you more than simple and straightforward ones. Totally in the middle on that one. I enjoy simple, straightforward things just as much as the new, intricate ones. Each one has their benefits, their drawbacks, and so on and so forth. You usually feel more persuaded by what resonates emotionally with you than by factual arguments. Personally, I would change the word factual to truthful. And that's because I've learned that in American legality, fact is simply a thing that has been documented on paper, notarized, and accepted by the court system as a legalized fact. Anyone can make anything a legal fact. That's why I disagree with that on multiple levels there. Your living and workspaces are clean and organized. Mm, Slightly not true. I'll clean when I need to. Usually stay calm even under a lot of pressure. That's back and forth. I'm a passionate individual and I'm logical, so occasionally I'll be emotional and occasionally I will subdue that with my choice to analyze things. You find the idea of networking or promoting yourself to strangers very daunting. Somewhat, yes. I can't say I totally agree with that because I'm doing a fucking YouTube channel. Come on here. You prioritize and plan tasks effectively, often completing them well before the deadline. Uh, I have to slightly disagree with that. Mistakes can and will happen. Murphy's Law, Heisenberg uncertainty principle, those two things work hand in hand together. Well, technically, it's not a law, it's a more predominant observation that holds true more times than not. So that's why that answer is that. People's stories and emotions speak louder to you than numbers or data. They both speak equally valuable information to me. They're both interchangeable, and one cannot exist without the other in a balanced life. Ergo, I must make the neutral choice there. It's the only logical and practical outcome for that question to be answered from me, honestly. You like to use organizing tools like schedules and lists. Sometimes, yes. I can't fully go 100% on agreeing, as there are times when I just don't bother with a schedule or a list. Also, note that it's you like to use. It's not saying that you always do, it's saying you like to, which is preferential as opposed to actual action. That's just me explaining how I'm answering this as honestly as possible. Even a small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. I have to maintain a neutral answer to this because in some situations, a small mistake can have the complete opposite outcome of what you want to accomplish in a situation. I understand and accept that those situations aren't always a part of day to day life, depending on what work profession you're in. Moving along, you feel comfortable just walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation. Occasionally, I may do that, such as the emails I've sent to other YouTubers to try and get their attention and do something. Other times, I'll exercise a great deal of restraint in doing that, so I have to answer neutrally on that one. You are not too interested in discussions about various interpretations of creative works. I have to do a mostly disagree on that because what a lot of people will call philosophy, me and the YouTuber whose channel is ho_math, he and I both understand that thinking about thinking and even multiple layers of thinking about thinking up to a certain limited extent, because nothing is truly infinite as far as I'm concerned outside of theoretical mathematics, is something that we both know a lot of people should do. So, thinking about thinking is something I do often. So, I must strongly but not completely disagree with that, as I am mostly interested in talking about different ways of looking at things. Not just me thinking about myself, but me pondering and thinking about the possibilities of other people perceiving me similarly to the way I perceive myself and differently. You prioritize facts over people's feelings when determining a course of action. I understand that sometimes when someone says they have a gut feeling or an instinct or an intuition, it is, in truth, their subconscious mind processing the information they know about that particular type of situation much faster than their conscious mind usually works. There is a difference. The conscious level is in the gray matter. It processes at a certain speed. The subconscious, where people get their intuition and feelings about a certain situation, is the white matter of the brain in human anatomy that processes 8,000 to 80,000 times faster than the gray matter does. That's why an intuition, an instinct, a feeling, a gut feeling that people say they have when they've been working in a certain field about the subject matter they're familiar with is usually the right thing to go with because their subconscious mind is processing the information much faster and it's relaying that as intuition to their conscious minds. So that's why I have to maintain my neutrality in that particular question. I understand that. So, moving along. You have to allow the day to unfold without any schedule at all. Most of the time, yes. You rarely worry about whether you make a good impression on people you meet. Yeah. I don't really give a fuck about making a good impression. I favor being honest, open, blunt, direct over sparing your precious bitch feelings. And if you don't like that, feel free to piss the fuck off and don't come back. You enjoy participating in team based activities. Occasionally, there are situations where you must work with a team. People in the military with training, they understand this. They have an extensive coursework on team exercises and yada yada yada. And on the other end of that, there are certain things that you can only do by yourself. So I have to maintain completely neutral aspect in that one because I understand there's both sides. That's honestly an unfair question the way it's worded. You enjoy experimenting with new, untested approaches. Hell the fuck yeah. There's an old saying, axiomatically accepted, necessity is the mother of invention. However, right alongside and in parallel with that is experimentation. If necessity is the mother of an invention to fulfill a need, then experimenting with different things would have to be the father of invention. New, interesting ideas, uh, different ways of doing the same thing. Uh, you can simplify that, rather oversimplify that as um, reinventing the wheel. There's a simple way of wording it that has a load of thinking behind it. You prioritize being sensitive over being completely honest. Hell the fuck no. I'll be honest. I may occasionally throw sensitivity in there, but I'm not gonna fucking lie to you. So the way this is worded, I have to answer it this way. You actively seek out new experiences and knowledge areas to explore. Hell the fuck yes. If I don't actively seek out new information, new knowledge, new things to explore, I become stagnant. I'll be disgusted with myself if I become stagnant when there are still new things to explore and discover. In the highly improbable eventuality that I run into the point where I know every damn thing, then things will have to be remixed. But currently, I have to answer this with 100% agree, as that is currently the truth. It may change later. You are prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse. Occasionally, yes. You enjoy solitary hobbies or activities more than group ones. that ties back into earlier where I said I know for an absolute there are certain things you have to do alone and certain things you have to do in a group. So I cannot be honest with myself and say I completely agree with that. I have to maintain a more open minded approach and say I only slightly agree with that because I will have to adapt to working in a group eventually. It's an inevitability. I've accepted it. It's gonna fucking happen. You cannot imagine yourself writing fictional stories for a living. I have imagined myself writing fictional stories, just not for a living, so I have to mildly disagree with that, the way it's worded. You favor efficiency in decisions, even if it means disregarding some emotional aspects. Key note here, some emotional. That's the key phrase there, or rather, sentence fragment. So I have to agree with that completely because there are some emotional aspects that simply detract from the value of logic and practicality and reasoning. Not all of them, but there are some of them. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. I can neither agree nor disagree with that in any regard because I will occasionally start a project, take a break in the midst of it, get back to it, take another break, and so on and so forth. So some things you have to do one step at a time and take breaks in between. In disagreements, you prioritize proving your point over preserving the feelings of others. Hell the fuck yes. You usually wait for others to introduce themselves first at social gatherings. I can neither agree nor disagree because I have approached someone and introduced myself, and at the same time, in other situations, I have sat there and waited for others to introduce themselves to me. It's all situational for me. There's certain situations that require me to be outgoing, and certain that I can just sit there and wait. Your mood can change very quickly. Sometimes, yes, I'm a passionate creature. I'm not going to disagree with that at all. You're not easily swayed by emotional arguments. I cannot disagree or agree with that in the slightest because there are emotionally based arguments that are designed to subvert logic, reasoning, and practicality in favor of eliciting emotional responses. This happens in the cinema and movies and TV shows all the time. When I watched uh, which movies was it? It was one of the Kung Fu Panda movies. I cried. I laughed. I allowed myself completely free rein to just be emotional and enjoy the experience of the movie. The same with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I watched that movie almost half a dozen times. I watched it in its original language with subtitles and then in English. And I still cried at the parts where shit fucking happened. So, in context, each situation requires that you approach it as an individual situation instead of a blanket response to everything at all. I'm a dynamic individual. I will change. In the event that later on for this personality test, I decide to make it a snapshot of how I'm feeling and thinking at that individual moment, as instead of overarching holistically like I am right now, I'll do that so that I can show how each individual situation alters the results of this test. Every last one of you who will be watching this video, you're all dynamic living beings. You're not going to feel the exact same on all of these questions at all times. And if you do, you're a very boring person. But that's a highly unlikely scenario, and maybe one out of every so many duodecicentillion beings may be that boring. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. Again, as a dynamic being, sometimes I'll wait to the last possible moment. Sometimes I'll set things up well in advance, years ahead of schedule. You enjoy debating ethical dilemmas. Occasionally, that whole infamous trolley test problem. It's a thought experiment designed to make an individual think of the consequences of an action. Is it poorly designed? I would say yes, from the standpoint of logic and practicality, because you could run back towards the trolley and try to stop it, and maybe you get hit, maybe you don't. Maybe you wind up stopping it before it hits the switch altogether. You could run to one of the individuals or the group and try to pull them off, whether they're still tied up or not. You could throw a switch and make it go one direction or the other direction, or do nothing entirely. There's a lot more choices you have in that hypothetical scenario. That question asked the way it traditionally is horrendously unequitable. I'm not going to say the word fair because children and those who are ignorant worry about fairness. Those who are more learned, more logical and practical will speak about things far differently, often ignoring the word fair altogether because life is not fair. You usually prefer to be around others rather than on your own. Again, that's a situational thing. Sometimes I want to be around others, sometimes I want to be by myself. Just, I have to take each situation as it develops. You become bored or lose interest when the discussion gets highly theoretical. Hell the fuck no. If we didn't approach theoretical topics, we wouldn't think of the possibilities that exist at all. We wouldn't grow and develop. When facts and feelings conflict, you usually find yourself following your heart. Not all the time. I will consciously make the effort to be as logical and practical as I can. But like I've already explained, some things become instinctual intuition because of the subconscious processing so much faster than the conscious. You find it challenging to maintain a consistent work or study schedule. Sometimes, yeah. You rarely second guess the choices that you've made. There have been a couple of choices that I've second guessed. Your friends would describe you as lively and outgoing. Some may, others may not. I understand that they have their own free will and their own way of viewing things that may be radically different from mine, or the other friends I have. So I can neither agree nor disagree at all with that one to maintain being as honest as possible. You're drawn to various forms of creative expression, such as writing. Hell yeah. I read the four Aragon books. I read the Harry Potter books. I've read Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. I've watched the movies. Yeah, I am drawn to various forms of creative expression. Who isn't? Seriously, if you aren't, please let me know and the reason why. And do be honest. You usually base your choices on objective facts rather than emotional impressions. I have to maintain a medium strong agreement with that. I can't fully agree with it because there are certain emotions and intuitions and feelings that are based on decades of experience that get distilled down in the subconscious processes to an instinct or feeling. You like to have a to do list for each day. Again, sometimes I'd like to, sometimes I just don't want to. You rarely feel insecure. I have felt insecure before, so I cannot agree with that at all. I have to be honest with myself. You avoid making phone calls. Sometimes I'd rather text, sometimes I'd rather not text or call at all. Sometimes I'll just outright call a person. You enjoy exploring unfamiliar ideas and viewpoints. Hell the fuck yeah. I would be highly dissatisfied with myself if I didn't explore strange new ideas and to boldly go where no one has gone before. Yes, that is a Star Trek reference. You can easily connect with people you have just met. That's situational. Sometimes your personalities and your knowledges and levels of experience are so radically different you just can't connect with them. Sometimes you just can connect with them. Sometimes you're both reincarnated from living a past life together and you can just instantly connect. That has happened. Sometimes you don't, because in your past life you were enemies and that carried over into your current lives. The reincarnation does happen, so I can't disagree or agree with that at all. If your plans are interrupted, your top priority is to get back on track as soon as possible. Sometimes my plans get interrupted, and I honestly forget what the fuck I was going on about in the first place. Sometimes I'll keep it in my head and go right back to it. You're still bothered by mistakes that you made a long time ago. One or two, to be honest. They don't occur to my memory right now, but they will eventually. You're not too interested in discussing theories on what the world could look like in the future. I have to disagree with that. I have made multiple videos on that exact same topic. Your emotions control you more than you control them. Again, I can neither agree nor disagree with that because I will watch a movie or a TV show and just let myself go through the emotional experience. It's wonderfully fun for me. At other times, I will shove my emotions completely out of my mind and focus only on the numbers, the logic, the information. You would have to do that to play Factorio and possibly even Satisfactory. Though more so with Factorio. There are times when you just have to. When making decisions, you focus more on how the affected people might feel than what is most logical or efficient. I have to mildly disagree with that in that situational context. Your personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than organized and consistent efforts. Yeah, most of the time. Have you seen me do anything really? Just watch, you'll see. When someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will take them to feel disappointed in you. Occasionally, yes. Especially when I see evidence that that person is stuck in outdated, outmoded forms of thought processes that inhibit openness and logic and practicality. Because it's completely logical and practical to approach everything neutrally with an open mind for all of the possible combinations and outcomes that may arise and take things one step at a time as they occur, unless you have prior experience with the situation, which will require you to do things in a certain way that may be rigid. For example, yeah, you don't fucking open a nuclear reactor and just jump into it to do maintenance. You do a fucking automated maintenance system for that shit. Now, don't you? And that's rigid and controlled. Wait, how did I? Yeah, I jumped way off topic there. Whatever, moving right along. You would love a job that requires you to work alone most of the time. Yeah, I think I said something about the military trained people understanding the need for teamwork, so I can't disagree or agree with that because each situation can be different. You believe that pondering abstract philosophical questions is a waste of time. Hell the fuck no. If you don't think about thinking, how are you going to come up with new ideas, interesting concepts? Think of it this way. How the fuck would people in Hollywood have come up with TV shows and movies if they didn't think of philosophical questions or pondering abstractions? Think about it. You feel more drawn to busy, bustling atmospheres than to quiet, intimate places. Most of the time, no. I enjoy being around a calm atmosphere. If a decision feels right to you, you often act on it without needing further proof. Most of the time, I think about things. There are those occasions that I'll just jump right into it and act rash impulsively. Yeah, there's those occasions. That's why I cannot strongly agree with that 100% or, you know, disagree with it totally 100%. Disregard me saying agree a second ago. I meant disagree. Whoops, mistakes happen. Okay, just on to where I left off. You often feel overwhelmed. That's not currently true. I have felt overwhelmed in the past, so I have to go with some agreement there. You complete things methodically without skipping over any steps. This time, that's true. Um, because they changed the recipe and cooking instructions on some hamburger helpers, I will skip over some steps because some of those steps are interchangeable. So I can't really go strongly either way there. It'd be nice if I could have a really detailed question there, as it were. You prefer tasks that require you to come up with creative solutions rather than follow concrete steps. Each one has its merits. For example, playing a video game, sometimes you will need to come up with a creative solution. Following concrete steps, or rather a rigid system of rules and structures. That nuclear reactor example, you're going to need rigid concrete steps for that. So I can't go agree or disagree either way on that one. You're more likely to rely on emotional intuition than logical reasoning when making a choice. I've explained before, some of those emotions are actually logical systems that have been sub-processed into a simple gut feeling or instinct through years of training and familiarity with a situation. You struggle with deadlines. I can't go either way on that. I recently set a deadline to do a meeting for myself, and with my upload schedule, I will upload when I fucking upload, and then I will schedule it to go public on my YouTube channel pretty much on a weekly release. You feel confident that things will work out for you. Again, totally neutral on that one. Actually, overall, looking at my averages, I have to go with that to be completely honest, even though I'd prefer not to agree or disagree with that. Okay, see the results. Your personality type is logician, INTP T. A quote from Einstein. Really? Okay. Nikola Tesla was a brilliant dude, too. One of the things he spoke about and was written down was that he had an imagination of a sort that he would imagine making a machine, and then when he made it, it would function exactly as he imagined it would to work. So why not throw in something from Nikola Tesla as well? As an INTP logician, you possess a unique blend of intellectual curiosity, analytical prowess, and a penchant for abstract thinking. Okay. Your mind is a playground of ideas, constantly exploring complex concepts and seeking to understand the underlying principles of the world around you. Okay. You approach life with a rational, logical mindset, preferring to rely on facts and reasoning rather than emotions or conventional wisdom. The way a lot of these tests use the word emotions, they imply chaos where there isn't any. Emotions have their own patterns. It may feel or seem random, but it really isn't. Your insatiable thirst for knowledge drives you to delve deep into subjects that capture your interest. Yes, you're not content with surface level understanding. Oh, hell the fuck no. Why would anyone just stop at the surface level? Instead, you strive to grasp the intricacies of systems and theories, often developing innovative solutions to complex problems. Well, occasionally, as an idea guy, I'll come up with a real banger. Occasionally. This intellectual depth combined with your ability to think outside the box sets you apart from both personal and professional spheres. No, not from, in both. Okay. Intuitive mind. You start with observation. You think about it. You develop the intuition to just know the outcome of a particular situation from past experiences that are relative and relevant to that situation. So, observant to intuitive is a progression, not a binary thing. You start with observation and you move to where it becomes an intuition. Extrovert and introvert, that's a that's a scale that's slightly binary at the same time. Nature, feeling, thinking. I have to readjust to maintain more neutral posture in between thinking and feeling. Both are needed. Tactics, prospecting, and judging. Yeah, I prefer to avoid judging until it's absolutely necessary. But I am close to being neutral on those two. Or rather, a mix of equal parts both. Equivalent. Yeah, that's the appropriate word for it, not neutral. Identity. Assertive, turbulent. I am a little bit closer to a mix of both. Feel free to read this at your leisure. I'll allow a few seconds. Pause it, read it if you want. Yada, yada, yada. Now, moving along. And then this. I didn't always have this adaptability. It's a more recent development for me. See, I have managed to change over time. Adaptability is something that you develop. It's a graduation from it's not a graduation as in school terms. It's a gradual increase from rigid and inflexible, from being inexperienced, building up to being adaptable, because you understand how diverse things are and how you need to be adaptable, otherwise you will not survive. Truth focused, hell the fuck yes. Difficulty completing tasks. Resistant to structure. There's a lot of human rigidity that's bullshit. Corporate policies that constrain the individual. The freedom of speech is a freedom of speech for a fucking reason, motherfuckers. If you don't like me saying words like that, then, stop being a rigid bitch. Yep, definitely struggle with some practicalities. Under promoting myself. Huh, yeah, that makes sense. Frequent procrastination. Yes, I do. Easily distracted. Yes, I am. Oh, look, a squirrel. It's not just one squirrel, there's about a dozen of them outside. Career ideas. Really? Work styles that suit you. Personal growth. Influential traits. Strengths. Hmm. Introspection. Highly reflective. Those two go hand in hand. Yes, I do have difficulty expressing emotions. Stubborn skepticism. You spend years being lied to all your life, and tell me how you become skeptical. Now, you go onto dating apps and encounter over a thousand scammers in less than a week, and tell me how you come out of it without being skeptical. Shit fucking happens. Lost in daydreams. Yes, I do. Neglecting self care. Yeah, I would be jokingly saying I can neither confirm nor deny this, but yes, that's true. Hmm. Logical conflict resolution. When people are pissed off, they don't want to listen. So I have to wait. Emotionally distant. Yeah, it can seem that way, can't it? Uncomfortable showing affection. You better fucking believe it. Easily exhausted by socializing? No. I'd rather not talk about the goddamn weather every fucking day. Socializing is paying attention to not just the fucking verbal interactions, but just enjoying being in each other's company and paying attention to the physical actions, communication oversight, focusing on the truth, as I'm going to say it, rather than feelings, can inadvertently upset others. Well, it's their fucking problem for being overly emotional and under mature. Withdraw rather than support others emotionally. Yep, that's true. How accurate are these results? Pretty accurate for the most part, given that your test has some faults with understanding the difference between learned intuition versus puerile emotions. Young people are puerile on emotions. Logical, practical, learned people understand the balance between the two. Like when I was talking about watching a movie and just enjoying the experience. That's fine. But out in the real world, you have to maintain some self control. All right. Uh, if you paused and read along, yada yada yada. You will have learned some things about me. Enjoy that knowledge. And support me on Patreon. Yeah, sure. Ask questions to which the answers have been given in this video already if you paid attention. And then go support me on Patreon. I wanna hire editor peoples to help make things look and sound better. And do a lot of drunken dipshittery. Yep, that's my story and I'm sticking with it.